To edit a vehicle's swept path, grips are used. Using the grips, target points can be added or manipulated, overturn adjustments can be made, the start and end path can be trimmed, the path can be moved, and the steering angles adjusted. In my drawing file, I'll use the grips to review these commonly used editing features. I'll start first by adjusting and inserting target points. In my swept path, I can see some cyan-colored X's. Those are the markers that are used to identify the target points that I used when I located the swept path. To edit these targets, I can simply click the swept path in the drawing and the grips will display. If I hover my cursor on top of that grip, it will give me an on-screen tooltip that tells me I can use this to adjust the target point. If I left click, I can move that target point anywhere that I want inside of my drawing file. Now, if I move that target point to a real weird location, I'm going to see that my path cannot continue, just the red line. If you make an edit like this on your system, it's basically telling you that it cannot use that target point for your vehicle. So I need to move it back into the location where it makes sense to use as a target point for my vehicle. That's how I can make an adjustment to the target point. You will notice that when I click a new location, the X jumps up to that spot within my swept path. You will also notice that at the midpoint between any two target points is a plus icon, or grip. This grip allows us to insert a new target point. If we're trying to perform a tight maneuver, it might be necessary to insert a new target point. So we simply do that by clicking right here in the drawing and we can insert a target point. Now we can put that target point anywhere between those 2 points. But once again, if we get into this area where we start creating some invalid maneuvers, you can see here that I need to go back now and adjust that target point and get it into that path location so it can continue on with my swept path. So this is how we can adjust and insert target points. Now we'll take a look at the overturn grips. If I tag my swept path, you will notice a few grips that look like arrows here. I have an arrow that leads into my curve called a side overturn, and I have an arrow out of my curve called an exit overturn. If you constructed your swept path using the option turn on to bearing, you will have these grips as well. What I can do with a overturn grip is I can make an adjustment to my vehicle so that it pulls out just a little bit of its normal path into the other lane, in this case, so that I can get this tight corner. I can see that my trailer is actually pulling right onto the curb. So to add in this overturn at the beginning, I can just anchor into that grip. And notice the tooltip displays its adjust side overturn. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to pull it slightly away from its current location. You'll notice as I pull it slightly away, I can see the envelopes on my screen that help me make that adjustment. As I make the adjustment, what I'm really trying to do is make sure that my tires stay within inside of the curb area. Notice by making the side overturn, I'm able to do quite a few adjustments here. But if I do the exit overturn, I might be able to enhance it just a little bit more. So using the side overturns, I can make some adjustments that, with those adjustments, it looks like I'm clearing all of my curb and gutters on all angles of my turn. So those are the overturn grips that we can use to make the adjustments to the vehicle path. Now let's take a look at our trimming grips. If we tag our vehicle path from within inside of the drawing, there will be triangle grips at the very beginning of the path and the end of the path that we can use to trim that vehicle path. I'm going to anchor into the grip here called Trim Start of Path. That's where my swept path started. I'm going to click on it and I'm just going to move it up a little bit so I can trim my path or shorten it up. I can do the exact same thing at the end, only this time I'm anchoring into the grip at the end of my path. And when I anchor into it, I can just pull it forward a little bit and that will shorten the end of my path. Now let's take a look at the grips that we can use to move the swept path. I'm going to select the swept path from the drawing and the grips will display. If I anchor into the square grip near the beginning of my swept path, my cursor will reveal that this is the Move Path grip. I can anchor into that grip and I can move my swept path anywhere that I want inside of my drawing. So if I need to relocate it for any reason, I can just anchor into that grip and it will move the entire path. I can also move portions of the path. If I hold down my control key and I anchor into one of the target points and left click, you'll notice that I can move all of the elements in my path before the target point. All the items after that will remain as they are inside of the drawing. Now, if I do the same thing, but this time I hold my Alt key down, and with the Alt key held down, I click a target point and do an adjustment, you will notice that only the items after that point will be adjusted. So using these keys on the keyboard, the Control key and the Shift key, we can move portions of the swept path, and if we anchor into the square grip, we can move the entire swept path. The last grip that we will look at for the swept path is the steering angle. In my drawing file here, when I tag my swept path, I will find this grip at the very front of my steering pointer. If I anchor into it, it will reveal it's the adjust steering angle. If I click on this and make an adjustment, I can change the start turn of my vehicle. And if you look real close inside of the drawing, when I adjust that turn angle, notice how my tires adjust as well. And with that turn angle also comes adjustment to my path. So I can use that to change that angle or direction right at the beginning of my project or swept path. Now in my case here, because I'm using this semi, I can also use these grips to adjust the spine. You can anchor into these diamond grips, and we can see how we can use that to adjust the spine of our vehicle. So these are useful grips that we can use to edit our vehicle path.